Hey everyone, my name is Jason from Game-Rave.com, and it has been far, far too long. Let's get to it. As we get back into gear with Season 7, I was shocked to discover one of my favorite genres has never been covered in 7 seasons. Bowling. My god, I love bowling. As a child growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, I used to bowl in a family league on Saturday mornings, only to come home and watch the PBA Tour on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Watching now legendary athletes like Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, Steve Cook, and more was heaven for me. As I grew up and swapped out game machines, there was always a bowling game to go with it. From teething on the Atari 2600, to spending way too much of my life getting the fanfare in Intellivision bowling, or getting aggravated at championship bowling on the NES, or having a blast on the Super Bowling cartridge with the Super Nintendo, my needs were always covered. Imagine my surprise when the one game system that would not let go of me would also end up having the greatest selection of bowling games ever made available. You often hear the PlayStation name tossed around with phrases like the golden age of role-playing games or tons of excellent arcade ports, but it's very rare to hear someone say it's the best game system for bowling games. But here we are. There are 6 true bowling games, with the 7th being that weirdo Flintstones Bedrock Bowling. To find out why that one's not on this list, check out episode 59 where it was a featured lamentable game. Working our way from the bottom up, our first frame involves the aptly named game, bowling. Ported over from the Japanese Simple series, The Bowling, it's a bare-bones bowling package in the most literal sense. There are practically no pin physics to speak of, rendering any attempt to learning a spare fundamental utterly useless. The game does have some interesting oddities, however. First, it has a quest and special mode. The quest is essentially a simple spare mode where you can attempt to pick up 3-pin spares. Special mode is where you get to go disco bowling but throwing pot shots at a 45-pin spread. The visuals also happen to look a lot like Intellivision bowling. The sad part being that Intellivision bowling had better physics. Our second frame leads us to Big Strike Bowling, which arrives with a much better presentation but more dismal pin physics. Unlike our original entry, Big Strike's issue is that it doesn't allow the pins to mix. No matter what your approach vector, almost all the pins automatically fly towards the pit. Adding to that quirk is one of the genre's most notorious culprits, the magic pocket shot. Many bowling games don't use proper physics, as we've already illustrated. This aligns with older 2D games needing to base their pin action on pre-recorded animations. The magic pocket shot phenomenon exploits this repetition in discovering a single spot on the approach that will always result in a strike, no matter what. Big strikes can be discovered within an hour of playing or less and just be abused to the player's content. With just a little more effort, Big Strike could have been a good game, but sadly it gets left behind with this simple series. The last 4 games in our subset are actually from the same family and paired off with one another. That family is Adrenaline's 10-Pin Alley, the game that started the greatest franchise in bowling history. TPA is the Trojan horse for sports games. From the package, it looks like a goofy premise, but once you start taking your first shots, the unparalleled detail of the bowling begins shining through. From the actual changing lane conditions, the incredible pin physics, the proper representation and implementation of the pit, and varying ball weights that really do change how the pins react, TPA set a bar that would almost never be reached again until Wii Sports Resort came along. It also allows for up to 6 bowlers with multiple lane options. Keeping in league with the cartoony aspect, TPA would be relabeled with the Animaniacs in 1998. In this version, the main game is essentially split into a special lane and then the regular play. If you choose the latter, it's literally just a reskinned 10-Pin Alley. Choosing the special lane, however, adds in an exclusive hybrid mode where video footage and bizarre occurrences are applied to the gameplay. For example, you could throw a shot and out of nowhere it will take a literal right turn into the gutter. It's then revealed to be one of the villain characters manipulating your ball from underneath the lane. Other subtle changes include the game randomly inserting a video of a crazy strike or an absurd miss. While amusing to mess around with, I defer to the original 10-Pin Alley between the two. The crowning achievement in our subset comes in 10-Pin Alley's final evolution into the Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling Series under THQ. Stripping away the comical characters and instead providing actual PBA Tour athletes, including Mark Roth, actual equipment, bringing over female athletes in the sequel, an expansive career, a creative player, and skills challenge mode, options, and more. The biggest change came in the approach angle, literally. Rather than looking over your character's shoulder to try and line up your shot, they provide an overview of the lane with a tracer. This allowed the proper lining up of a shot to create the proper hook that fit your style. Both games are incredible, with the sequel becoming a cornerstone of the PlayStation's incredible sports legacy. From a collecting standpoint, this is not only one of the easiest, but also the cheapest subsets to go for. $65, give or take, will snag you the entire 6-game subset. That's including shipping if you play your eBay cards right. None of them are rare, but there are 2 variants to look out for. Tenpin Alley has the obvious greatest hits edition, but the Simple Series bowling game has a typo corrected when it was released in the Tomo 3-pack. Alright guys, that does it for this week with Game-Rave TV. We will see you next week with another new pause mode, and hopefully no more sickness. Have a great weekend everyone, and remember, play, laugh, love. We'll see you then.